With the release of the Dear Boss letter, the world now had a name to fear: Jack the Ripper. That single phrase ignited fascination and terror across both England and America. As the press and public obsession grew louder, the streets of Whitechapel fell eerily silent. But not for long. The name Jack the Ripper captured the imagination of the people. In the days that followed the Dear Boss letter, hoaxes flooded police stations and newspaper offices alike. Though the authenticity of the original letter is still debated, another message soon arrived that many believed to be genuine. A postcard, now known as the Saucy Jackie postcard. It read, menacing. I was not codding, dear old boss, when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number 1 squealed a bit. Couldn't finish straight off. Ha. Not the time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper. This postcard referred to 2 murders, what the Ripper called a double event, and even mentioned the removal of a victim's ear, a detail not yet made public. This led many to believe it was truly from the killer. Still, skeptics argued the details could have been drawn from the original letter and the press. Then came something even more horrifying. On October 16th, George Lusk, president of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, a group formed by local tradesmen to aid police efforts, received a small parcel. Inside was half a human kidney preserved in wine, accompanied by a chilling letter postmarked, "From Hell." The letter read, "From Hell. Mr. Lusk, sir, I send you half the kidney I took from one woman and preserved it for you. The other piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you only wait a while longer. Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk." Though the kidney closely resembled the one removed from victim Catherine Eddowes, conclusive proof was never found. Yet the gruesome nature of the parcel set it apart from the many hoaxes overwhelming the police. As the days passed, Whitechapel slowly returned to a fragile normal. October came and went without another murder. But on November 9th, that uneasy peace was shattered. Mary Jane Kelly was just 25 years old. Raised in Wales in a respectable family, she was well educated and had once lived a promising life. She married at 16, but her husband tragically died 2 years later in a mining explosion. At 21, she moved to London, settling in the East End. Mary was well liked in the community but struggled financially, resorting to prostitution to make ends meet. She lived in a small room in Miller's Court, off Dorset Street, with her partner, Joseph Barnett, a former fish porter. In late October, the couple argued after Mary took in a homeless woman, and Barnett left. In the early hours of November 9th, Mary was seen on Flower and Dean Street by a man named George Hutchinson. She asked him for money, which he declined. Moments later, Hutchinson saw her approached by a well-dressed man. The pair walked together toward Miller's Court. Outside her room, Mary was heard saying, "All right, my dear, come along. You will be comfortable." They entered the room together. Hutchinson described the man in great detail. Around 5 feet 6 inches, age 35 to 36, pale complexion, dark hair, mustache curled at the tips, of apparent Jewish appearance, wearing a dark astrakhan-trimmed coat, a soft felt hat, and spats. A gold chain hung from his waistcoat, with a red stoned seal. At 10:45 a.m., Mary's landlord, John McCarthy, sent his assistant Thomas Bowyer to collect overdue rent. Receiving no answer, Bowyer reached through a broken window pane, damaged during a previous fight, and pulled aside the curtain. What he saw sent him running. McCarthy returned with Bowyer and looked through the window himself. He later said, "The sight that we saw I cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more like the work of a devil than of a man. I had heard a great deal about the Whitechapel murders, but I declare to God, I had never expected to see a sight such as this." Mary Kelly's body lay naked on the bed, grotesquely mutilated. Her throat had been slashed to the vertebrae, the bone notched by the blade. Her organs and breasts were removed and positioned around the body in a disturbing display. Her face was mutilated beyond recognition, with parts of her nose, cheeks, eyebrows, and ears removed. Mary Kelly was buried on November 19, 1888 in St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cemetery, Leytonstone. Although a few later murders were reported in Whitechapel, none were officially linked to Jack the Ripper. After the brutal slaying of Mary Kelly, his most horrific murder yet, he vanished into the shadows. To this day, over 135 years later, his identity remains a chilling mystery. In our next episode, we'll explore the most compelling suspects, from the likely to the outlandish. Until then, like, subscribe, and sleep tight.